All right, we all know about warranty nightmares. Automotive Warranty Network Incorporated. If your warranty process still involves sticky notes, tribal knowledge, and late night claims rejections, you're leaving money on the table. Automotive Warranty Network Incorporated brings clarity, compliance, and cash flow to your warranty game. They speak fluent OEM, and they've got your back. Hey, I want to encourage you to take a visit over to our partner, Target Automotive, at target.com. That is great until you're drowning in it. Target turns that chaos into clarity with dashboards that actually make sense. Fixed ops leaders finally get what they need: real-time, drill-down insights without the spreadsheet migraines. It's not just business intelligence. It's Target.
Angela, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. Dave appreciates it. Everybody appreciates it. So thank you. I am going to go ahead and let you introduce yourself because I know you've had some change ups lately, and I'm not sure exactly what you'd like me to call you apart from the fixed ops goddess. So why don't you tell us,
I
who
feel
you
like,
are, what you
yeah, I feel like Fixed Ops Goddess is, who I am most days. I we live in Colorado. I got 2 grandbabies. Still married, still have a husband. So that's good, right? That's
good. Yeah.
Yeah. Almost 30 years. I love him. But just hanging out in Colorado, I've taken some time off from work for a little bit. My brain's turning to mush, which is not great. So I'm, going to have to start working again. So my brain starts activating, and, I can put 2 plus 2 together and not get 10, But yeah, life's been really crazy lately, a lot of ups and downs, and I've been here for all of it and just happy to still be ticking.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about what you formerly did. Analysis or analyst is what I should say. Lots of numbers. What would you describe yourself as an expert as?
I think in the world of fixed operations, like my background is heavy in operations, whether it be retail or automotive, as well as like the human capital management side. I love operations. Like if I can figure out what makes it tick and then make it better, that's my passion. Like that's what I'm head over heels for. The last 4.5 years with Foundation, my job was to make sure that our fixed ops department was running on, full tilt, like, wide open. We're making money and our people are taken care of. I've always seen myself though as a people first person. And I firmly believe that if you take care of your people, which is your biggest asset, your business will pretty much take care of itself, right? That's not to say it's, it's not a crock pot. You can't set it and forget it. You still have to tend to these people. And, but for me, I would say making sure that our people are good was my job. And that comes with data, which is king, right? We all know data speaks volumes. And what story is that data trying to tell you today? And then how can you improve upon it? Traveling to the dealerships and visiting with them was probably the highlight of every week, going, and I used to tell them, I'm coming to sit on your desk. And they're like, please don't. I'm like, yep, nope, come in, clear off a corner. And it wasn't that I was actually going to sit on their desk, but I'm going to sit with them. We're going to sit down in the office. We're going to have some one-on-one time as the managers. And then I'm going to talk to every single employee, which I did, like touching base with every employee. Like, how are you doing? How's training? Do you feel like your needs are being met? How's the kids? How's the spouse? Like, how's the dogs, right? I can't tell you how many pictures of animals I've looked at and shared of my own. And I love it, right? It's great. But again, people are your biggest asset. And if you're taking care of your people, that's the job to me.
Well, what sort of data do you look at? What numbers are you looking for? How do you sort of weigh when things are going good and when they're not?
Data comes from everything, right? It's all your third-party vendors that you're using. So you're measuring the overall performance of the store and the company. Are we getting what we paid for from the vendor? Are we giving the vendor what they're asking us, right? Where's that engagement? Because if you have engagement, you're going to have better performance. And then looking at it from an individual standpoint, right? The service manager, what their their specific directors are, which, you know, is to take care of the customer and make money, right? That's it. Just those two things. How are their needs being met? What do they need help in? So finding where their top 3 issues are, doing the same thing with the GM, and then talking to every single advisor and going through their performance and say, hey, you're doing fantastic on these 3 metrics. These 3 right here, you're like right in the middle. You're where you need to be. These 3 over here, how can we get these to the middle? And then how can we take those middle 3 and make them your top 3 without sacrificing the other 3? So I find that giving them the praise of where they've really succeeded and they can be the subject matter expert for their team, and then giving them things that they're doing okay on and giving them things to work on. They really only have to focus on these 3 things that they need to work on because they're doing great over here. Your top 3 items are things that they have adopted as their habit, as their process. They get up in the morning. We all have the same process, right? For work. We get up in the morning. I get up, I immediately go downstairs and throw in a coffee pod. And I, dump in half a pound of cream and sugar. I like the essence of coffee taste, more so on the sweetened cream. And then I sit down and I check emails in the morning, right? That's my process in the morning. Everybody has that process. So when you have an individual who's succeeding at something, that has become their process. That's their one leg in the pant at a time process. And we talk about people, process, and profit, right? And how important those 3 are. Your data will not lie to you because it's what you pull from everything. You're pulling all those metrics and you're analyzing it. And then where you can tell the fib is the story, right? The story that you want it to tell. But I find that the black and white is great.
Quick break in the action. Let's talk parts. Yeah, that corner of the dealership most people don't look at until there's a fire. Parts Edge helps you clean up that mess. Smarter inventory, better margins, and no more guessing games. It's like giving your parts manager a crystal ball, except this one actually works. Spiffy. You can manage your mobile appointments, optimize your service routes, track inventory, and process payments. All with Spiffy, and you can learn more at spiffy.com. You ever wish you could inspect every car like a tech with X-ray vision? UVI is like an MRI for your car. UVI doesn't miss a thing. Scans the tires, the underbody, body panels, and wheels for scuffs in seconds, giving your team instant, actionable intel without slowing down the lane. That's not the future. That's UVI, and it's live in stores today.
If you add some red, green, and yellow, right? And we've got a colorful story. We've got great chapters, coaching to those bottom 3, praising for the top 3, really gives them a starting point and a finishing point, but it's constant. It's every visit, it's every week going through those metrics and seeing what kind of improvements they're making. And you have to track that improvement. You can't just say, hey, work on this and I'll see you in a month. You have to track it. You have to give them physical evidence that they're improving or that they're not. And if they're not, hey, fantastic. I'm going to come and spend the whole day with you. Me and you, we're going to do this together. And I did, and I do, and I love it.
Yeah. Can you
And you're damn good at it too.
Yes.
Oh, thanks,
Very
Russell.
much. Can you give us an example of, like a time when you went to someone and it kind of stood out to you? What sort of metrics were you looking at, and what did you work on, and did you see them improve? Give us an idea of what that really looked like.
One of the softwares that we use, is Xtime, and I'm extremely passionate about it because I know what it can do for your wallet, your checkbook at the end of the day. And with any technology, it's only as good if you're using it, right? It's not going to work otherwise. Looking at that data though, looking at like how they're using the tablets and if they're checking in the vehicles and they're getting the photos, right? That's huge in the metric aspect because it shows how engaged they are with the customer. It shows we're getting pictures of the vehicle so we can see if we did any damage, right? We don't want to damage the vehicles, but you give the car back in the same shape or better that they dropped it off to you, right? It also helps notate things that need to be fixed on the car, right? You can give them a quote for cloudy headlights, just as an upsell or whatever. So things like that. And then on the technician side, they have enhanced multimedia where it's doing the quick 30-second video walkthrough of the inspection that they did. And hey, this is your technician. Here's the things we found today, or everything looks great. And then adding a photo or video. And they don't want to do that. Everyone's perception is, I don't have time. And I'm like, well, time is what we sell here. Like, time is the only thing you sell at the dealerships, right? So if you tell me you don't have time to check a guest in on the tablet, which takes, 3 minutes, or you don't have time to take a photo, which, I mean, pull up your phone. How many photos do you have? Because I got like 8,000.
Yeah.
Literally. And on a side note, does your phone tell you, or like Google or someone tell you how many photos this person you have of this person you took of this year in your phone? Mine was the top leader was Carter, the grandbaby.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Maybe
not
the most.
Okay, back on track. So I think showing your advisor, showing your technician these measurables, and hey, here's where you are. Here's where we need to be. But let me show you what happens when this number hits this number, right? So snacks help too. I know y'all have heard me say that before, but I will bribe the heck out of somebody with a granola bar, or a bag of peanuts, or some M&Ms. Like, what's your your vice? Because tell me, because it's probably in my bag over here. If it's sweet and salty, I've got it. But showing them the improvements week over week is huge. And I'll start with a metric today, and I'll say, okay, in 1 week from now, I promise you, if you will do this step, this process every time, every guest, every time, I promise you we'll see results. And I'm going to say 20% or better. And they're like, whatever. I'm like, okay, well, I'm just saying. And then when you bring it back to them and you show them that improvement, it's like a light bulb goes off, and now you have buy-in because you didn't have it before. But you've got the buy-in now. You have to show them not just that their metrics have improved, but how it benefits them when it improves. So when you start checking in the guest on the tablet and you can see their previous history, I can see that they haven't had a tire rotation or an alignment for over a year. And hey, to make your tires look great, to keep those going, to maintain proper wear and tear, we really should do an alignment. I can get that done for you today. $149.99 is going to take another hour. Can I drop you off at the mall? Right? It's simple things like that. And when you start to see them upselling and it's added stuff that's coming on there, yes, Leslie, trust building for sure. You start seeing that, they start seeing that, and they're like, that translates to dollars. That translates to being able to take an extra day of vacation or affording a trip to Disney, because let's be honest, that's expensive, right?
Yes, it is.
It's nuts. So it's little things like that, but you have to show them the proof. And when you show a technician that your advisor has sold 27% over what they were selling for you before, that's massive, right? Because what is that? What are we selling? We're selling time. So now we've sold 2 hours instead of, the oil change they came in for at 3/10. So it's metrics matter, but they matter before, during, and after. And I think that's one of the mistakes that I see with service managers is they're getting yelled at because they're not where they need to be. And then that trickles down. We all know that goes downhill, but they're not coming back and saying, oh my God, last week I lost it. I'm so sorry, but you guys did so great this week. Look at where you are. It's that mad dash to the end of the month. And then tomorrow it's rinse and repeat. There's not to say you have to celebrate everything, because we're not celebrating mediocrity, right? But you have to have those wins, and you have to share those with your people. You have to say, for me, I always use the word trash. I'm like, oh, that's trash. How can we not have trash this week? Where can we improve? That's a long-winded answer all the way around, Charity.
I love it.
I appreciate it. Well, we have a lot of vendors in the room. And I think a lot of us think about how much dealers are accosted by, various vendors, salespeople, as we're all trying to get our foot in the door. And you, as far as I imagine you, are one of those people that sort of gate kept the vendors and you really went through and looked at them and said, do you have a quality solution and does it work? And so I'm curious, as far as vendor relationships go, what were you looking for? What got vendors past the gate for you?
So for me, I was like the final, well, gate stop. Yeah. The final person, like they've vetted it. They've looked at it. They're like, hey, Angela, punch holes in this. I'm like, hold my Diet Coke. No problem. Right. For me, it's about the ROI and not just like, don't show me $1, like show me dollars. Like I want the S, but I also want retention because you could have an amazing product. I could say, sure, let's put it in 30 stores. Let's go LFG. But if I start losing customers or it doesn't help me gain more customers, that's a problem because it's great that I now can reach all, let's say 3,000 people in my PMA, right? Let's pretend it's a small PMA because I need small numbers. So let's say it's 3,000 people in my PMA. You're telling me we can talk to every single one of those through texting or email or whatever the FTC is going to allow us to do today, right? But I can't get more than that. I can probably chat with people already, right? So how can you as a vendor improve upon what I already have? And I think what I saw when I was vetting vendors was that they were not aware of what we already had. That's the problem number one. If you don't know what I have and you're just going to come to me and say, I looked at your website, cool, buddy. Not everything's on there, right? But I think what I like too is when you're a competitive product to something we already have. You most likely know that competing product inside and out. And if you don't, how can you sell your business to me? Because I know what it's currently doing for me. I think the conversations with vendors needs to shift into a not just what I can do for you, but here's what I see you currently have. And I know that product A does A, B, and C, but my product's going to do all that. Plus D, E, and F, I can get you a better ROI. Here's how. Show me the ROI. Show me how you get that. I remember, Russell, when you guys couldn't hit the DMS and you couldn't tell me how many new VENs came in this month or how many VENs we service based on your marketing. I was like, come back to me when you have that ROI. And when you came with that ROI and that data from the DMS, it was like angels singing in the background, right? I was like, that's incredible because it's pen to paper, it's black, it's white. I can now translate this VEN, it came in and they spent an extra $600. And that is $600 I didn't have before your marketing hit them. So with a vendor, vendors need to be prepared to talk about the ROI, how they're going to get there, and what it looks like. I think when you come to a company and you don't have data results and you don't have a way to show them the ROI, you're not going to get your foot in the door. No one wants to talk to you because why am I going to shell out another $1,000 this month for a marketing program or a software program to track, alignments? And there's so much out there. For those of you that were at NADA, how many booths did you go by? How much swag did you get? Better, more important question, where's my swag, right? I'm still looking for swag. But there's so much out there and there's probably 15 of the same company, trying to get in your ear and trying to get in your dealership. They give you elevator pitches, right? You get a short demo with your vendors, but they're not giving you that data-driven results at the end that says, if you are with my company, this is what your ROI is going to look like. This is what a 90-day snapshot looks like. Because you guys have that, right? Vendors have that. They're not a brand new vendor day one of like, I got nothing. So I don't think they're prepared. They're prepared on the sales side, but they're not prepared on the operational side of it. And for me, it's about the operations. So I'm punching holes in everything. And then your job is to fill it. And if you can't fill it, I'm like, great chatting with you. You're not for us.
Yeah, you were really good at that. Very good at checking products and making sure that they work. Where do you think, dealers are struggling? Where are there holes to be filled right now?
Well, I haven't stepped foot in a store in a few months, but I just based on what I'm seeing through social media and just the news in general, right? They're struggling to keep salespeople. They're struggling to keep management staff. On the fixed operations side, I have watched a dealership be completely dismantled because a new GM came in. And I think that's probably like one of the hardest things in the automotive industry is the turnover, right? And when a new manager comes in, they've got buddies, they've got friends that they want to give a job to, or there's someone that they really enjoy working with, and that's been their person, and they're going to bring them over, come hell or high water. We've all seen it, right? And if you haven't seen it, you're probably not paying attention, but we have all seen it. Some of us have been a part of that, right? We've been the person getting rid of somebody, or we've been the person that was replaced. And that's a hard thing to look at. What I'm seeing in the sales side, though, is I'm seeing just a heavy turnover in salespeople. Oh, there's Roger. Hey, Roger.
Hello, Roger.
I love him. I'm seeing the turnover because sales seems to be slower, right? Service is service, but service has their slow months, but you don't see an advisor turnover when service is slow. You see an increase in like marketing and an increase in like trying to get more people in the door. Like people kind of work a little bit harder in the service side when, it's November and December and January. March and April, they're like, please God, can I take vacation, right? Because everybody's coming back. Sales is sales, right? People need a car every single day, and sometimes they're going to wait, and most of the time they're not going to wait. When, especially like for me, when I want a car, you got about 12 hours to like figure it out, honey. And I'm like, because this is the car I want. And he's like, oh God, here we go. It's the car industry. You're in a new car every 2 years. It's like, I can't help it. He's conditioned me that way for 28 years. He's been in the car business. So it is not my fault. Just saying. I think as an industry, we need to do better in the turnover aspect and invest in people more, hire better. I think they're hiring for experience and not hiring for who the person is. I think you need to have a mix of that, right? Because some people are just jerks, right? They can get the job done. They're great at what they do as an employee or employer, but they're terrible human beings. And that person will chase away your staff that you've accumulated or that you have, groomed and just grown this amazing staff. And then you hire someone who looks amazing on paper and they come in and you're like, crap, there goes the store you've built. So I don't know. I can't speak intelligently about the current state of affairs in the automotive industry, right? Because I've been spending time with my grandbabies, but I can say that the turnover and the way that we treat our employees has to change.
Well, Angela, let me assure you that the current state of affairs that you think you missed out on are all still there in all their glory.
Nothing has changed in the last few months.
Right.
Okay, good. That's scary, but good.
Yeah, what was it Scott Falcone said to us? He said, eagles don't fly with turkeys. That's what he said. In regards to, you may have a lot of employees and some may be great, but you're right, Angela, sometimes some of them are just duds. They're too difficult to work with. It's too hard. Okay, I'm going to go to some of my my written questions. What's the difference between a process that exists and one that's actually being followed?
Well, if it exists and no one's following it, that's trash, right? It's clearly not working for someone. And a process that's being followed, typically, I'll say typical results is that you get results and it's working. But what I have found I've been writing processes and SOPs since Ralph Lauren days, right? Back in when I was with Ralph Lauren. And what I discovered, because that was early in my leadership career, right? As an operations manager, I learned that not everybody learns the same way and not everybody operates the same way. So I could tell you that you must put on your pants the right foot first, then you must do the left leg, you must pull them up, zip them, button them, then apply the belt, right? The next person maybe can't do that, right? And maybe they want to put a t-shirt on first and tuck it in. So I always give weird examples. It's fine though. I have found that, and I'm like, hey, here's the, let's say 5 things that are the non-negotiables. This is what you must do in this process. You are free to take them and figure out what works for you, because my process may not work for every single person, but I'm going to give you a structure and a guideline, and I'll be like, all right, let's work through this. How can we get there? I trained this young woman, and I just, oh God, she came to us from the food service industry and she wanted to be an advisor. And everybody's like, oh God. I'm like, they make the best advisors. Someone who's never been an advisor, who doesn't know the car industry, make the best advisors because they don't have as many bad habits to break, right? So you're training her from the floor up. She became a freaking service manager for one of our luxury brands, and she was the best service manager because she was open to ideas. And I would meet with her weekly over the phone or through Zoom, and I'm like, all right, what's on your agenda this week? And she's like, this is what I have to do and what I need to do. And I was like, where's your notebook? Like, what are you taking notes? Like, what works for you? And she's like, oh yeah, I'm a notebook taker. I'm like, okay, good, me too. So, but not everybody is. So working with her and being able to say, because she was having trouble managing her time, right? With all the new stuff that's being thrown at her. I'm like, what are the priorities today? What has to get done today? Put that on the paper first, and then put everything that's secondary, right? Like, figure that out. She adopted that. That became her process. She managed her time amazingly. And that store like doubled their profits. Like, that's crazy to me, right? That you can take someone and build them from the ground up, help them figure out what process works for them, given them non-negotiables, and watch them be successful. That's crazy. So I would say the difference between a process that exists and a process that is being followed is which one is working. Because if you have a policy or you have a process that is existing and no one's adopted it and no one is using it, you have to go back to that. And sometimes it's tearing it up and starting over.
Yeah. Have you found that there's like any kind of training that works generally well for everyone? Or is it really, there is no standard? You really have to customize to make it work.
That's a hard question. I think the answer to that is both. I think that, look at OEM training, right? OEM training is standard. If you're a warranty admin, this is the 9 million hours of training you must take, non-negotiable, got to take this training. There's no applicable training in there. There's no hands-on. It's like, okay, where would you click for this? And you're hunting for the information, but it's not applicable. So they have to have one-on-one training. And we do that with advisors. We put advisors through their OEM training, and then, yes, Roger, check in the box. You put them through the OEM training, you give them their quick software training, and then you're like, all right, you're on the floor, let's go, because you were an advisor before, right? So go do your thing. What I discovered in, excuse me, starting to train. So when I worked for Champ Automotive, we trained a group, all of our new stores, right, coming in that they purchased. So we flew to California to do the BMW store. I was like, oh, this is going to be amazing, right? Brand new store, people coming in. It was going to be beautiful. And I typically would train our technicians on X-Time and enhanced multimedia, how to do the DMS. What does that look like? And I love it because, it's a technician. They're a little finicky sometimes. So you have to get on their level. So talking to them and going through what training they've had, and when you're dealing with 20 people and you have to assess their needs, their training needs, you discover they don't all learn the same. They don't all figure out that just because it's book doesn't mean I can make that applicable to my job, right? It's not the same thing. So when you take an individual and you know they've got the book knowledge, and then you break it down for them and say, okay, this is how we take everything that you just learned, and I'm going to show you how to use it today. And you do that for several days, right? And then it becomes their habit, their process, whatever. They make it their own. You cannot just train somebody in the book and then just let it go. Like we can't operate that way. You have to train, retrain, follow up, train. Like it has to be a constant thing. It needs to be as much as possible. I don't think I still train. I still learn. Like I will listen to a podcast and be like, God, I never thought about that. And I'm writing that down. Or I'll watch a service manager talk to his people and I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. And I'm going to write that down. Like I'm going to write down everything. And then I'm going to go back and use it. But I'm training, I'm still learning, and you cannot stop learning. Like the minute you stop learning, you die. So my brain is dying, y'all, because I haven't learned much in a little bit. But I've been watching Broadway videos, y'all. It's hard. So yeah, training is not one size fits all. There's the book. That's one size fits all, but you cannot leave it there. You don't go to college and learn all that crap and then get out and be like, well, now what? You have to have a job so you can make that applicable. Granted, most degrees are not what they're currently doing, but it's still the same concept. You have to make it applicable.
Right. So it's about not just putting in the effort to learn, but also applying it in your job or training other people on what you've learned. You've talked a lot about expectations. I went through your bio on LinkedIn, and where do you think most leaders get that part wrong? Expectations.
I don't think they give people their expectations. I think they're assumed. I'll give you a really good daily life applicable scenario. The trash is full. I have to ask somebody to take the trash out in my house. And that drives me bonkers. I'm like, you see it's full. You just stuck something in there. And I don't want to take the trash out. Let's be honest. I don't think I should. I do all the cooking and all the cleaning and all the grocery shopping and all the fussing. I don't want to take trash out. So, well, all you have to do is ask. I'm like, I shouldn't have to ask. So that's an expectation, right? I expect the trash to be taken out every time it's full, just not by me. Some people, when you get hired, it's like, hey, the expectation today is make money. Okay. Take care of your guests, make money. I tell our people, hey, there's two things I need from you. Number one, I need you to make sure our guests have a safe and secure vehicle to drive, right? Second thing, protect the dealership and make money, right? Maybe that's three things. But outside of that, they expect from me when I come to a store and I'm on a visit, their expectation of me is I'm going to sit down and we're going to shoot the crap for a little bit. I want to know how they are as a person first. They know that. They know to expect that from me. And if I don't do that, they're like, Angela, you didn't even ask about my dog. I'm like, oh, I have failed you, right? So if you don't set an expectation and then manage those expectations, how can you ask someone to be successful? How can you ask them to work for you and make money for you and protect you as a dealer or as an employer? How can I ask you to protect me if I don't tell you what my expectations are? Manage those expectations, which means following up and like, hey, how's it going? Everything going well? Fantastic. I saw how you took care of Mrs. Smith the other day. I love that. Thank you so much. You're doing a great job. Your CSI looks amazing, right? Or, hey, you're doing a good job. I see you on the drive, but your CSI is down a little bit. How can I help you? What can I do to make you better? How can I make you more successful? But 7 times out of 10, they're getting berated because their CSI is low. They're not diving into the issues. And I will tell my service managers, I'm like, take their last 90 days of CSI issues. It's 10 questions. It's 20 questions, whatever. You got a spreadsheet somewhere. I love good spreadsheets. Send it to me. I'll make you one. Put them on there and let's figure out their top 3 issues. I'm all about the top 3s, right? I'm all about the bottom 3s. What are their main issues? That is, the expectation is to have good CSI. Managing that expectation is helping them be successful. when you don't help them or you don't give them that initial expectation, why are you here? Like, why are you in charge of people?
Yeah, I can see that. I can see how leaders don't make it clear, like, this is what I expect. Or maybe they do that, but that people don't know how to get there. They don't quite know how to meet those expectations. What's
So,
one process leaders think is minor that actually has a massive downstream impact?
I,
If there
I
is.
don't even know how to answer that question.
yeah, say that again. Ask that question again.
What's one process leaders think is minor that actually has a massive downstream impact? Maybe something they're not aware of because they don't see it every day.
I I think it's engaging with people. I don't.
Yes.
Sandy says onboarding. I think that onboarding definitely would be Sandy for sure, because that's a huge problem, right? I didn't get that training. No one told me that. My password doesn't work. And that's people, right? That's the people, process, profit. It's people. And
it's horrible.
Yeah. When you're not, I think a lot of leaders pass that off to the department manager, to HR. And if you're first, because I saw it all the time with 33 dealerships, that their first impression is, I didn't get paid. Did you set up your direct deposit? No, no one told me, right? And I can't get logged into the system that I need, to be able to effectively take care of my customers today. Or I can't get into the DMS. If you have a technician that can't get into the DMS or the OEM, that's huge. So I think when leaders don't have a hand in the people portion of your business, you fail. Because when we'd hire new people, I'm like sending them out an email like, hey, I'm Angela, I am your fixed ops analyst, like, here's what I can do for you. But if you still have issues outside of my realm, let me know, please. I will make sure you get taken care of. And I can't tell you how many variable people are like, Angela, I can't get logged into such and such. I'm like, I got you, I'll fix it. It's not my job, right? But I never say that, because I feel like see a need, fill a need. So I'm going to take care of you to the best of my ability. And if I can, I'm going to get you to somebody that can, because I think that's another issue too. We drop the ball.
We sure do. Leslie, go for it. Got a question?
I just wanted to say something. So I have found that, when you're talking about new hires, assigning a mentor to them, somebody that is good on your team, to mentor them, because I think a lot of times employees are afraid to ask questions because they feel like there are things they're supposed to know and don't. Whereas if they go to one of their peers, they're more comfortable asking questions. But I think also touching base with them, when they're new, touching base and just giving them a call or having a meeting with them and, face to face, say, how are you doing? Are things going okay? Is there anything that's a problem? How's it going? And sometimes you don't get a lot of information from that, but that's a good thing. Everything's fine. And, you can ease off in the beginning. It should probably be at a minimum once a week. And, as time goes on and that person feels more comfortable in their role, you go to once a week and, whatever is appropriate for your organization. But I really think, assigning a mentor is a good thing for the person that's hired. And it's also a good thing for the person that's actually the mentor, so that they understand what it's like to be new again and what other people need. It's camaraderie.
I love that.
Yeah. It reminds me of I had a job long ago, and I remember when I was training with someone to work with, she was so awful. She said, I'm going to show you once, and I'll show you twice, but the third time, I'm not going to show you again. And on a training day, you're shown everything. You're shown 25 things, and I would forget exactly what it was I was supposed to do. So I wouldn't ask her, right? I wouldn't ask her because I already asked, but I forgot because there's a lot incoming. And then of course you get furious and I get it wrong later. And so having that mentality to, even if it's not a mentor, if it's just someone like you, Angela, that's helpful and open and always willing to help, even if it's repetitive, especially for people who are new in the business, new in the dealership, that can help a lot. Sandy, go for it.
Hi, everybody. And man, am I glad I came in today. Right. I feel like Angela and I would get along. We both had the same expression, Charity, when you were sharing your story about they're not going to show you the third time. We were both like, what?
That's real.
We're meeting in the parking lot over that, I tell you right now.
Right, like what? Because what you said, Angela, that people learn different ways is just so true. Right. And I've always been a big believer of putting profits before people leads to bad decision making. I've seen it over and over, and there's just, I mean, I have like 2 pages of notes just from the short time I've been in here. I got in here late, so I've been here like 30 minutes, and I'm like, oh man, turnover and hiring, the things that we've talked about ad infinitum. I've been in this industry a long time, and we've always talked about that. I think, where'd you go? Jamie talked about soft skills, right? I just looked, I'm not even going to talk about it, but it's a product that I saw that measures soft skills. It is not an assessment. I've never seen anything like it, and I'm so super excited about it. But we don't look at that because that actually is what makes people successful in their jobs, right? With the people that they have to work with, no matter what role it is. There's been, and the other thing, like there's another thing I'm working on that you kind of alluded to, Angela, like you did it with that. You took somebody from food service, right? And they're a service manager now, right? They were a clean slate, but also with some skills behind them of multitasking. I mean, I came from food service. I know that there's a lot of things that we don't think about from other industries, and we don't realize sometimes how other industries can move right into automotive, So I don't know. I just wanted to say how I got notes and I'm really, really enjoying this interview. So
Yeah, well, good. And
and
Sandy,
onboarding.
yeah.
That's where I really wanted to talk about because there's so much opportunity in onboarding, right? You get all the pesky compliance done, having a system to do it. It doesn't have to be that hard. It isn't that hard. It is not rocket science. It is a process, but you get all the boring stuff out of the way. You get training. I mean, we're in fixed ops. I don't know anybody. I hope everybody is doing OSHA training that needs to be done. There are certain things in a dealership that are mandatory that need to be done, right? You have that opportunity. I think we often in automotive look at onboarding, it's your first day, it's your first, really, in the regular normal world, it's 18 months or more, right? And we know that for salespeople, for example, I think it takes 3 years before a salesperson is at their optimum performance level. So all that can be considered onboarding, but there's culture. You bring your new hires into your culture to show them what you're about and why they should be so happy that they're working here. I mean, there's so much that we sometimes miss, right? And there's a lot of good systems out there now that we don't have to miss it. The technology has made this simple, we just need to use it in the right way and connect it. I know Russell has kind of perfected onboarding, right, for in his company. He's got virtually no turnover. He's got employees that are raving fans. I just got a call with ZipDeal, who I'm guessing some of you might know, and Danny Benitez. I know you know Danny. And they have, I'm so blown away because in ZipDeal, you can recruit your raving fan customers, right? Hey, do you know anybody that's looking for a job? I think it's brilliant. Anyway.
Yeah,
I like
that's a
what you
good
said about Russell and the employee onboarding, right? But imagine, if you will, if they did not have a good internal onboarding process, how bad it would be on the consumer side. Because Russell, your company had a great vendor onboarding process too. Like I knew who my account manager was. I knew how I needed to submit requests and changes. And, you know, and I said, hey, I want to meet with them monthly. And you're like, fantastic, no problem, right? There was no gaps in that onboarding process from a vendor standpoint. So why can't we, and if on the dealership side, right, on the sales process, there's no gap in that either. So why can't they take that same process, right? That's the word, process, in how they are with consumers and apply that as an employer? I don't understand why there's that gap. Like that pains me greatly.
Yeah, I don't understand it either. It's an age-old problem. No, I remember. So we really make it a point to not be just a vendor, but a partner. And when I first met Angela, I was a little gun shy because of what people told me prior to me meeting with her. And it turns out she's a teddy bear, but you got to make it through the cut.
Saying that on
Hold on,
camera.
I'm gonna clean it up, okay? But she wasn't that way at first. She was very matter of fact. She holds people accountable. She holds vendors accountable. She wants to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, that people are being talked to. If we couldn't get a hold of somebody, we let her know because she oversaw a lot of stores. But it didn't start out that way. I had this preconceived notion, and you know, she's really matter of fact. But then as you get to know her, she allows you in. But you could screw that up real quick with her too. If you deviated from what the expectations were, because she didn't have time for it. I knew what she was going through at Foundation. I mean, it was a lot just to keep her arms around everything. But she was the vendor gatekeeper, and you better perform, and you better be able to do this. You better be able to prove that. And if you can't, it's not that big a deal. She'll just replace you.
Yeah,
I think that comes down to the setting expectations from the beginning, like when you first meet with your vendor, and then managing those expectations. And I think that for me, accountability is massive in this industry, right? It's massive. You have to be accountable, and you have to hold people accountable, because otherwise you're throwing money out the window for the next best thing. And so managing expectations is huge. And when you have a partner in a vendor who wants to do that too, that's huge, right? That's success right there.
It really is. So I wish there were more people out there like you that I deal with, because I engage with so many different people and leaders in the industry that talk about vendor and partner, and they want to know, if somebody's not doing what they're supposed to be doing, call me, let me know. We'll pivot, make some changes, and do this, and that. But then you can never freaking get a hold of them.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, Russell, is I wish that there were more places that had someone in your position, because it's so much easier to work with a gatekeeper than it is to kind of, try to wrangle all these people. And then time to go through metrics and spreadsheets and, ROIs. They just want it to be done and for it to work. We need more Angelas in the world.
We do. It makes us look successful for sure. Versus the counter, well, you know what? They didn't do what they were supposed to do, so let's just cancel them. And that was completely unfair. And that has happened too. And it's not for lack of trying at all. And when something didn't go down, trust me when I tell you, Angela knew she had a team of people that she could call on to make changes and stuff like that. But then there was always she could always reach out to Russell, and she did.
Yeah.
Not above going to the principal.
I have a ton of questions, but I want anyone that wants to ask Angela anything, the opportunity to do so. So if you do, just let me know. And otherwise, I'll just keep going through questions. And this one is on accountability, Angela. How do you build accountability without slipping into micromanagement?
Oh, I can't stand micromanaging. It's abhorrent. But it is a very fine line for some people. I'll say the biggest thing, right? Perception is reality. So if someone perceives you to micromanage, that is their reality. You may not be micromanaging. You might just follow up with them once a month and they're like, oh my God, leave me alone. But accountability stems from setting expectations and managing expectations, right? It's all about what I'm expecting from you, what our company is expecting, and then managing those expectations and holding them accountable. I firmly believe, though, I can't hold someone accountable if you've not been trained, number one, properly trained, applicably trained, right? So I find that if someone's metrics have slipped, a store's metrics have slipped, or we're seeing a trend in the slips, because sometimes there's anomalies, right? Crap happens. Your store's closed for 3 days because it's snowing, right? But when you don't have anomalies and a store is trending down, for me, I'm going to look at, the first thing I'm going to look at is, do we have a knowing problem or a doing problem? If we all know, then now we have a doing problem, right? Is there an issue with the technology? Is everything working? Is your Wi-Fi working? I can't tell you how many conversations I've had about Wi-Fi in a dealership because they can't use the tablet because the Wi-Fi is not working. I'm like, cool, let me go talk to the office manager. Hey, can you call the cable company and get them out here and get this API fixed? Because we need an extender. We need this. We need that. Like, this wall is preventing them from being able to do A, B, and C. And they're like, well, we're not going to spend that money right now. I'm like, you want them to use this tool. You've mandated it as part of their process. It's a non-negotiable. But you don't want to give them the Wi-Fi. You can't hold them accountable for that because you're not providing the proper tools they need to be successful. And that's a huge problem in every industry, not just automotive, right? We want to hold people accountable, but we don't want to be held accountable for not providing the right stuff. I was getting a facial yesterday and the girl couldn't use like the overhead light. Ladies, y'all know which one I'm talking about, the one that we all hate because they can see all the imperfections. I don't have it. Okay, so they can see everything. And she goes, I'm not going to use the light today. And I said, why not? She goes, well, it's not working. And I said, why not? Because they're a big company. And she's like, I don't know. I said, do you have to pay for your own stuff? She goes, no, management does. And I was like, I'm going to handle that. So when I was finished, I was like, could we get this young lady a new light? Because hers isn't working. And they're like, scrambling. We're going to hold her accountable for a really good facial. Am I glowing? Right? I want to be glowing. So I'm holding her accountable because I'm paying for this service. She's being held accountable for providing good service, but no one's holding the manager accountable for providing the proper tools. So it's in every industry. You cannot have accountability if you're not making sure that we're trained, we have everything we need to be successful, we're helping them, we're going in and we're like, hey, I see you're struggling. What can I do to help you? Because I am the first person that's going to troubleshoot everything, every obstacle, and I'm going to remove every obstacle I can from you. And then you're the only obstacle left, right? Your performance is what's left. So let's get into it. What can I do to make it better? Right? I'm going to take the tablet. I'm going to go check in a guest for you. Let's go do it together. I'm not going to I don't ask them to do anything I haven't done. I've written service. I know how to use the tools, right? I know how to get yelled at by a guest, right? I understand all that. I don't know how to run a dealership. So I can't speak on that, right? With a GM, but I could be like, do you need a mentor? Because I could get you someone to come and sit with you. Like, what can I do for you? I think that mentality is something that we're missing across the globe, across LinkedIn, right? There's so much help on LinkedIn and so much amazing information out there. Like I learn something constantly on LinkedIn, and it could just be from someone's, verbiage that they're writing. And I love it. But am I taking that and am I using that in my life? Am I using that in my day to day? Or did I just look at it and go, wow, that's an amazing idea. Next. So be accountable from the top to the bottom. Someone has to come in and hold them accountable. And you know darn good and well I'm coming to sit on somebody's desk if I don't have Wi-Fi so my team can do their job, or a light for my facial.
Well said, Angela. Gosh, we're running out of time. There's so much to pick from. How about what is the best advice you've ever been given? And do you have any advice for us today?
Good Lord. I think the best advice I've ever been given. My mom, show up, be you, be accountable. I lost my mom a year and a half ago, and it was terrible. But I remember that. And I remember her a couple days before she passed. She said that to me, and I was like, who are you talking to? Because my mom was never like this woman of wisdom. She was a woman of God, not a woman of wisdom, right? She wasn't out here spouting all these amazing things. It was, did you clean your room? You know, and I'd call my mom on the way to work in the mornings. Like when I was going to dealerships, I'd call her and talk to her. What are you doing? Oh, I'm at the garden show. She was retired, living her best life, doing gardening. Like I'm going to be a master gardener. I'm like, Mama, you don't like spelling. Like, we're not doing that. She's like, oh, I'm not doing it. I hear Mom. So we're at the hospital, and I'm laying in the bed with her, and we're watching something stupid on TV, playing on Snapchat. And she said that, and I was just like, who are you talking to? She's like, I'm talking to you, silly. And I'm like, okay. And, she taps me on the head, and I'm like, that's the best advice I've ever been given. And I would say to you the same thing. Show up, be you, be accountable. Because I think that if you can't be yourself where you are, that's not the place for you. I firmly believe that in every aspect of life. If I can't be myself, if I have to be someone else for you to like me and to want to be around me, that's trash, right? I'm not taking it out. We already talked about that, but that's trash, right? Someone else, you could be someone else's problem because I'm not your girl. I am too dead blasted old to have to fake it to be someone else I'm not, right? So show up, be you, hold yourself accountable so that when you want to hold someone else accountable, no one can come back to you and say, yeah, but you didn't do this for me, or you didn't make sure that I was onboarded properly. You didn't make sure I could log into the system. I didn't have Wi-Fi, right? All of these issues. And it's applicable to everything you do in life. I think, as for me personally, as a mother, as a wife, as a lovey, as two great little babies, I'm going to be accountable, and I am certainly showing up, and I am certainly going to be myself. Like, I'm sending my grandson a pile of sticks because he has a yard with no trees and no sticks. So I got a box of sticks that I'm sending. My daughter's, she don't want them. I'm like, well, I'm sorry, but I am sending sticks because that's who I am. Let me know if y'all need some sticks. I got sticks. So show up, be you, and be accountable.
I want to know, I have one question.
All right.
What's next for Angela? Where do you want to go? Or where are you going, if you already know?
I don't know. I have a few projects going on, but nothing has been like I'm still looking, yeah, I'm still looking.
Okay.
Yeah. You're next.
Yeah, I would say what you said today is spot on. And having watched this business evolve over a lot of years, I think the issue of accountability, the idea of walking the talk, I can't tell you how many managers talk a really good game and then do absolutely none of that. And the people that work for you do not judge you by what you say. They judge you by what you do. What you do every single day, they're like kids, okay? They watch you and they do what you do. So if you're inconsistent, they're going to be inconsistent. And I think the other aspect of the manager's situation in a dealership is they need to work, especially the higher level guys, need to work on being more approachable. Most of these guys, wander around and think everybody loves them and everything's great, and yet everybody's terrified of them. And, they're smiling and happy when the guy walks through. As soon as he leaves, they're all miserable. So it just, I think that
But
accountability.
those people aren't leaders.
Yeah, accountability is a big thing. And I think it's going to get bigger because the complexity in this business is going to go up significantly. So the skill set that people have is going to be more demanding. There's a whole series of things that are going to happen, not only in this business, but other businesses. But that issue of accountability and how you manage it and how you handle yourself, I think, Angela, you're absolutely 100% on. That's the biggest challenge and the biggest need in the business.
I would agree with that for sure.
Right on.
Yeah,
Coming
Angela,
in.
we have so much more we could have talked to you about and asked you. Maybe you'll come back in the future and we can go through all of our questions. So thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Thanks for having me. It was good to see everybody.
It really was great to see you.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Angela. Thank you, everybody, for being here.
Yes.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you. Thanks,
See you
Angela.
guys.
Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Too.
Bye.